Hello friends, today's video is on the circular which is recently issued by the Tamil Nadu government on test purchases. Now what is test purchases? I have split my discussion into three parts. One is what are the provisions of law on this test purchases. Second is how this test purchases is going to be will be implemented practically, and third is the consequences of conducting such test purchases. Now recently on 7th of March 2022, Tamil Nadu government issued one circular number 5 on the procedures on conducting this test purchases. Now this is only a circular. The provision was always there in the law under section 67 subsection 12. This power is given to the commissioner or any officer authorized by such commissioner to conduct such test purchases. In Tamil Nadu, as per notification number 4 dated 12th July 2017, under TN GST Act, such powers are given to Joint Commissioner Intelligence, and he can authorize any officer to conduct such test purchases. So basically, section 67 subsection 12 gives the power to conduct such test purchases. So this circular which has come is not something which is new, which was already in place in the law but never been implemented seriously, and now Tamil Nadu government has come up with a circular bringing in the procedures for conducting such test purchases. Now how these test purchases will happen? There will be an officer who will be designated by a joint commissioner. So there has to be a proper authorization by the Joint Commissioner Intelligence given to such officer to conduct such test purchases. So he will come to your business premises and he will act as if he is a customer, and he will try to buy goods or services from you. So it's applicable for both goods as well as services. So he will come to your business premises, pretend he is a customer, try to get goods or services from you, and if there will be two consequences. Either you give a tax invoice or you don't give a tax invoice. So as per section 31 of the CGST Act, you have to issue tax invoice if there is a supply. So if you don't, if you give a tax invoice, there is not a problem. You have met with the procedure of law. So he buys the goods or services, you issue the tax invoice, and the payment is made by the officer. If the tax invoice is issued, then what happens? He will disclose he is an officer and he will tell you to cancel the invoice. So you cancel the invoice and money is received back by the officer. In the other situation, you don't issue a tax invoice. So you sell the goods without tax invoice. Then the officer will take action and write a statement. So there'll be a witness for this, or there may not be a witness for this. And if you don't issue a tax invoice, a statement will be written and a notice will be issued. So an officer comes as a customer. So there are two situations: invoice issued, invoice not issued. Invoice not issued, you get a notice. Now what are the consequences if you sell goods to such officer without invoice? As per the provisions of law, as per section 122, a penalty of 10,000 rupees will be levied, or an equal amount of tax which is evaded, whichever is higher. So 10,000 rupees or the amount of tax evaded, whichever is higher, is the penalty which will be levied. And there may be a chance where the officer comes, he may look around and see how much stock you have got, and based on your uh, the stock available from his eyesight. He may determine what you show in your returns or your financials and what is available. There may be a further investigation in the form of inspection, search, seizure, which may happen. So this may become a serious issue if the things what is shown in the returns and what is actually available in the scene are totally two different things. Now, why basically this test checks is done? These test checks are basically done to increase the compliance in issuing tax invoice. There may be a situation where you are a composition dealer, you are not supposed to collect tax. So you collect tax being a composition dealer, taxable person, or an unregistered person. And basically, this test checks are done, test purchases are done to prevent evasion of tax. Now, how the cases will be selected, now how they will know, or how a joint commissioner will authorize his officers to visit the business premises of which registered person. So there may be some criteria which in the circular is given. So these are the triggers. So this trigger the joint commissioner will authorize. One is taxpayer is doing large volume of business. He gets, joint commissioner gets an information that taxpayer is doing a large volume of business, but his returns do not reflect such volumes. Second is unregistered person. A person is unregistered, but the information comes, he is doing business more than the threshold limit. Then there may be some information which the public may give a complaint to the joint commissioner about some business activities. There are some evasion prone commodities which may be subject to such checks, like dealers dealing in cement, steel. So such business entities may be prone to such checks. Then service industries like hotels, restaurants, sweet stalls, such establishments may be subject to test purchases. And again, personal grooming services, rental services. So these are the basic triggers or business entities which may be subjected to test purchases as per the circular. So this circular has been issued by Tamil Nadu government. So what happens to other states? So Tamil Nadu government has only issued a circular to implement this. Other states can just straight away go and implement without circular, because circular is only binding on the officers. It is only a guidelines given to the officers to implement the law. So it is not restricted only to Tamil Nadu. Though this circular pertains to Tamil Nadu, this act or this particular provision of law can be implemented in any part of the country where GST is implemented. So be very, very careful. Don't be my earnest request is to everybody to please come in the line of the formal business. Whatever business you do, issue tax invoices, issue proper documents, so that you have a peaceful life. You don't have to go through this rigors of tax notices, even though you may be very punctual in paying taxes and you are right in your part, notices may come. But then if you are right, you need not worry about it. So I request everyone to be very, very cautious about this provision, because this will be implemented very, very strictly in coming days in all the states, because the revenues have to increase. And lastly, why this is going to be very, very important for the department is because in the scheme of things where there is a flow of cash credit, input tax credit, what you see is only in the final leg, in the retail. When it is B2C transaction, you see a lot of leakages happening. B2B, generally there is no leakage, but when there is a B2B transaction in the last leg, you find leakages. So this is one of the tools which the government may use to detect such leakages. So be careful. Thank you very much.